In this lab, we will be distilling the chemical responsible for the scent of an orange. That chemical's name is limonene, so we will be distilling limonene. Specifically, we'll be using what's called a steam distillation. I have a document that is going to go over the different types of distillation and a very general overview. I also have links to a website that will go into more specific detail on what the process of distillation looks like and how it specifically works, as in chemically what's happening here. For this lab, you'll need to do a write-up. You'll be writing up in your lab journal 6 points. The first point, the first section, will be an explanation of distillation. This will be an explanation of what's happening in this lab. So you should be specifically referring to our context of distilling the limonene from the orange peel. You'll be zesting an orange, you'll be putting that in a flask, hitting it with steam, and out will come the oil that smells great. So when you talk about that, when you give an explanation of distillation, you'll be talking specifically about the principle of distillation. This is a laboratory technique that's used to separate various compounds, and it has very specific applications, and it's a very powerful lab technique. So you'll be talking about how does that work? How does distillation separate the limonene from the orange peel? You'll also be referencing partial pressures. Partial pressures is the scientific principle behind why distillation works. And you'll be specifically talking about why we're using steam distillation. There are multiple types. There's a simple distill. There is a vacuum distillation. There's a few different types of distillations. We're specifically using something called steam distillation. You'll want to reference why we're doing that. So this should be a fairly long explanation. It should be at least half a page, if not more. And it should go into very specific detail about what is happening in this lab. You'll be able to find those details using the links that I'm providing. So if you're questioning anything, you can do your own Google searches, do your own research to get a better understanding of what's happening here. But I'm looking for you to be able to write in your own words what's happening so that you can prove that you understand what's happening. Okay? The second part and the third part, this will be materials and procedure. The next videos in this playlist will be going over the various materials and procedure. There are 3 parts to this lab. There are 3 parts that get set up. I've broken it into 3, and those 3 will come together to make the steam distillation apparatus. These parts are the steamer, the flask containing our organic material, which will be the orange peel, and a condenser. These 3 parts will go together to make the full setup. So when you're writing this up, you should break your materials up into a steamer, organic material, and condenser sections. When you're writing up your procedure, you should look at how to set this up, how to set this up, how to set this up, and then how to put it all together and run it. So you should have 3 sections for your materials that'll help you stay nice and organized, and you should have 4 sections for your procedure, again, helping you stay nice and organized. All of this will need to be written up. Next, you'll have a drawing model of your setup. Now, the document that I'm giving you, that it's going over the different types of distillation, this has a computer-generated drawing of a steam distillation. You'll mostly copy that, but I need you to draw your own so I can see that you've got an idea of how this fits together. Next, you'll be writing up any observations you make. You'll be watching this go through, and a lot of this will have downtime. As the distillation runs, it doesn't require a lot of input from you. You'll have time to do other work, continue studying your IUPAC naming rules and conventions, and continuing to learn those. But while this is running, you should be able to make some observations. I'm expecting some good quality observations here. Okay? And lastly, you're going to draw out the skeleton model and give the IUPAC name for limonene. Limonene is a conventional name. It doesn't say anything about the structure of the molecule. So you can Google limonene molecule. That will give you a picture of the skeleton model, and you'll be able to use that skeleton model to create the IUPAC name. Okay? If you have any questions, put them in a comment below. in the Google Classroom, not on YouTube. And you can always email me, okay? Or ask me in person when I have a minute. Excellent.